Hello, and welcome to another edition of Self-Publishing Insiders with Draft to Digital. As you can tell, Jim isn't here today because he's actually living it up in Vegas at Author Nation. So I'm Lexi Green. I'm part of our marketing team at Draft to Digital. And today I have the pleasure of chatting with Bekah Brinkmeier, which I really should have asked the pronunciation beforehand. Is that correct?
That is correct. Well done.
Fantastic. And you're also at Author Nation right now, correct?
I am, yes.
I'm going to pretend to not be incredibly jealous since that's where all the cool kids are right now, but I certainly hope you're enjoying your conference.
You know what? It's been such great vibes this year, and I mean, I'm spending time in the sunshine where I'm from the Pacific Northwest, and it's like 40 degrees and raining back home, so I'll take some sun in November.
Yeah, get a little bit of extra summertime before we go into the long, cold winter months. Uh,
Exactly.
so, Becca, I'm going to go through your bio just to give
Mhm.
the viewers a better idea of who you are. So Bekah Brinkmeier is a USA Today bestselling author and a ghostwriter for more than 90 novels. She works with AutoCrit as an instructor and an author coach, leading Team Plancer in the Novel 90
Woo!
Writing Challenge. She loves helping authors untangle their ideas, build confidence, and turn rough drafts into finished books. When she's not coaching or writing, she's typically speaking at conferences like the one she's at now, and on podcasts about writing with ADHD, strategy, full-time author life, and book marketing. Becca, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, it's such a pleasure. I am so excited to be on this pod.
That's the energy we like to enter in with. So,
Yes.
Becca, for listeners who might not know you yet, can you share a little bit about your background as an author and how you became involved in AutoCrit?
Yeah, so I have been in the publishing space for about 15 years now. I started kind of as a ghostwriter, actually, and then in the wild west of kind of as everyone was getting into publishing ebooks in like the 2010s and things like that. It was a little bit of a crazy time, was it not? If you've been there, you know. I just started writing because I just loved it. It was the thing I did after, before and after work on the train. I would write my stories. I write predominantly romance, but I have been known to write whatever this brain comes up with. So some of those pen names have some very wildly strange content. It's great. I got involved with AutoCrit first as a user, and then I been kind of head of partnerships and also working with our Novel 90 and our AutoCrit Academy I think it's been about a year and a half now.
Yeah, that's awesome. I
Yeah.
love the notion of like getting into writing because you just love writing. Like that's what you want to see out of people who are helping authors is people who understand that drive to write. Also, I do have to pop up real quick a comment from our own Alyssa, who she thinks she could see conference carpet. Um,
Oh, yes. Yes, you can. I am in a hallway right now. So you might actually see conference attendees, but I'm blurred. So they're like ghosts behind me.
I, I appreciate the ghosting of our
Yeah.
of the little background authors. But yeah, no, the little behind the scenes, like these author conferences, Wi-Fi can be a little hard to get to. And Becca, thank you so much for putting in the amount of effort that it is taking to be here with us today. Uh,
Not a
so,
problem. I love it.
Obviously, you mentioned and you cheered when I mentioned that you were part of Team Plancer.
I
I think
am.
most of us are familiar with kind of plotters and pantsers, like two of
Hmm.
the known ways to like prepare for your novel and like go into their process. I don't think we talk much about like the hybrid, the Plancer. So, as coach of Team Plancer, what does your writing process look like? Like when you're planning a new book, what differentiates you as a Plancer between the plotters and the pantsers?
Oh my gosh, I love this question. So, as planters, sometimes we're like the forgotten middle child because we are the hybrid approach. So, what I like to say is there's no one right way to be a planter. It is just simply a mix of planning and pantsing, or if you're not familiar with pantser, it's like discovery writing. So, I like to consider the way I write as a little bit of a structure and a lot of chaos. I need to know the bones of my story. It makes me more efficient. So I will not have a traditional outline, but I'm going to have bullet points for Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3. I generally know which tropes, which themes, and what I'm going to hit that meets my genre expectations. I love building characters, so I almost always know my main characters and a pretty deep dive. I tend to build out my character sheets in with some unique things. I need to know what their Enneagram is. I need to know what their Myers-Briggs is. I ask myself how they would celebrate their birthday, which is fun when you're writing romantasy, because how would a 800-year-old like Fae warlord celebrate his birthday? And honestly, I think cupcakes. That is where we're at right now. So I do all of that, but then how I get there is completely up to the muse. I know where I want to go, and usually I go there, but I need to have some discovery in order to keep writing fun for me. Like if I have a fully fleshed out 10,000 word outline, for some reason it just doesn't speak to my brain the way, 30,000 words, some audacity in a dream does. So
the audacity is important.
It is. I'm going to get there. I just may not be the way I expected. So that's kind of what I do in Team Plancer. But we have folks that outline more extensively and then just want discovery with their characters. And we have other folks that are just like, this is my genre, these are my conventions, and these are the 3 tropes I know are going to be included. And now we're cooking. So Plancers are just, we like to have a mix.
Yeah, I like that it's not as kind of rigid in terms of like, this is what makes you a Plancer. It's like each author is going to have their pieces that they need to build a skeleton, that they need a skeleton to build everything around, the things that need to be planned out. But I can also understand and relate to the idea that if you know the entire story, if you've mapped out every beat, there's something to like, how the story ends. Like, what's the point in writing at that point? Especially if you're kind of writing for yourself at the end of the day, like that can be tough. I feel like you're talking me into the idea that I might be a Plancer.
I mean, there's always room for more folks on Team Plancer, so I would love to have you. The nice thing, though, about Novel 90 is that you don't have to be a member of any one specific team. You are able to go to all the coaching calls of Team Planner, Team Plancer, and Team Plancer in case you're just like, I don't know, I think I'm everything.
So that's what an astounding way to kind of lead us in, especially we got a little comment, there are teams. I think now we can kind of talk a little bit about Novel 90. So for anyone hearing about it for the first time, what exactly is Novel 90? How does this work? What is this 90-day writing challenge?
Oh my gosh. Okay, let me see if I can do this in a less yapping way. Novel 90 is a free writing challenge. We started last fall. There were some gaps in our creative schedule for all of us that are familiar with writing in the fall. And we decided that we wanted to kind of take this opportunity to expand on what we believe here at AutoCrit. We wanted to take, instead of just a word count challenge where we're like, let's sprint for the next 30 days and get 50,000 words. We love that. And if you love that, I want you to continue doing that. But we really want you to not just finish the book, we want you to publish the book. I want to see all of my users packing up a signing so that we're all going to have some sort of wild Plancer party at the next signing. I want you at the table next to me. I want you to see your dreams of publishing come true. So we knew that we wanted to take a little bit more time. We wanted to spend 1 month planning, 1 month writing, and 1 month editing, so that at the end of this, you have a finished product that you're ready to do whatever it is you want to do with it. We have some users that came into last fall's Novel 90 with an idea and a dream, and they're currently under submission because they wanted to go the trad route. I have other folks that had been working on the same book for 7 years. This is the accountability that got them to finish that book. They are now on book 3. We are on our 3rd iteration of this challenge. We are established. We have tens of thousands of authors that have gone through it. And it is so exciting to me every time I get a text, because that's part of it. You can text me and I answer. And you can text any of our coaches. Every time I get a text, it's like, hey, Becca, my book's up for pre-order. And I never would have thought that I would be on book 4 or book 3 or even book 1. I live for that stuff. That is so exciting, because so many people say they're going to write a book, but it's getting finished and getting to that next step that is often so difficult. And so we've kind of decided to fill that gap in the writing challenge world. Was that concise enough? Because I was like...
That was somehow concise while also answering 5 other questions that I wanted to ask you. So we're going to have to work on this.
Okay.
Because I was going to say, how many years has this been going on? 3.
Yep. Well, 3 cycles. So we actually run multiple cycles per year. It's really
Ooh,
fun. We're not just limited to the fall. So we just finished Summer Novel 90, which was a more of a novella focus. And that was June, July, and August. We take September off so we can do marketing and talk about that kind of self-publishing or trad publishing. Then the cycle starts again, October, November, December. Then we take January. And then it starts February, March, and April. So if people are like, I want to register, you can do all of them. You could have a whole series done if you do 1 year of novel 90, a whole series done in a year, like a
that's
trilogy.
that should be a pitch that you have on your website. Like that's such a cool concept of
Yes.
like, yeah, you go in 90, take 30 off, go back in for another 90. That's a great way to go about it. Like
Yeah.
so I wanted to you mentioned accountability, which first of all, the idea that people can text you that you're like so accessible,
Hmm.
really, really cool, really, really brave. Like that is an amount of like availability. But like I think that that's a big part of building community. And you
It is.
kind of mentioned it, and I wanted to bring up a comment from Tom in the comments. I use I believe AutoCrit was what he meant to say. And
Hmm.
one thing I have to say is their community of writers and that type of thing is really one of the best in the business. So, how big is
Thank
the
you, Tom.
community aspects of Novel 90, of like everything you're doing over at AutoCrit?
Oh my gosh, it's huge because writing can feel lonely. I don't know if anyone watching can feel that, but sometimes we're just like locked in our office or in the corner of your living room. You've got, if you're me, you've got like 4 beverages around you. It's 1 in the morning and the only one person you've been talking to has been your character who is not cooperating. And you need community. You need people that get it. You need to be able to post something and be like, listen, I don't know what to name this person. Can you help me? So we have a base camp here in AutoCrit specifically built out for Novel 90. It's 100% free. You get all these we have a bunch of resources loaded in there. So there's like videos and articles and instructions and we have a handbook. We have all of this written content, but we also have the ability to post on these threads. We have live coaching calls because each of the teams is headed up by a full-time author who we're all bestsellers. We all do this full-time. We all support our families using our royalties. And we are here to do live coaching from our perspective, from our writing style to our entire team. So you're in a team that maybe has thousands of other authors, but you have access to us and you're able to ask personal questions and to get personal guidance. Like I this morning was answering texts, and shout out to the person that asked me to name the dog. You made my morning.
That's
I love naming things, but stuff like that, or the people who are like, is this marketing plan? Do you think this is appropriate for this? And we can have that kind of community aspect and just not feel alone and to feel like you are empowered. Like this is for you. We want you in our community.
I love that, and I think that it's important that, and we, especially at Draft Digital, we've always made it kind of part of the ethos that authors aren't competitors; they're not fighting against one another. We are a
Hmm.
community of people, and it truly is the case, especially with indie authors, but like with authors in general, that a rising tide lifts all ships, and like
Absolutely.
if you can help another author succeed, you're only making the reading space better for
Hmm.
readers, for authors, for everyone. So
Absolutely.
when it comes to the community of like the people who are joining Novel 90, what kind of writers are you typically getting? Do you get a lot of kind of beginner authors? Are more experienced authors taking part in this to just kind of keep on themselves? Like what is the mix of like
Oh, we've got everyone. Like I said, we have, tens of thousands of authors around the world. We are a global challenge. I've got folks that this is the first. I had someone ask me the other day, they're like, I've been thinking about this book for the last 45 years. Do you think it's too late to write it? I'm like, it is absolutely not too late. I want to see that book. Like, let's get going. Let's write it. And I have folks that are working on like book 45 and they want the accountability and they also want the tradition, because for a lot of people writing in the fall is a tradition that I remember many a time I this is how our brains work. You're like, this is our creative calendar. It's writing time. It's novel time. So they just want the accountability. They want the tradition back. I have folks that are not even writing at all. They're editing. So they decided they have a trilogy and they're ready to edit. And so we don't, we just want you to finish your book. So if you want to come in and edit something you've been working on and just have that community, you are more than welcome. We're not going to like make you write X number of words per day.
So there's a structure that you're providing, but it's not a rigid structure that you're like forcing someone to commit to. It's more about the accountability of having this this challenge, this group that everyone is kind of on the same mission and working with each other to get there. I think that that's honestly kind of a beautiful like ethos to go into this with. Oh, I just use like a business word. Like, so can you walk us through a typical 90-day journey? Like what from the start of a challenge? Obviously, we're for anyone who doesn't know, we're in the middle of this current cycle of Novel 90. This current cycle started in October. That was the prep month. 90. We're currently in the writing month, and then next month will be editing month. But what does it typically look like when an author just starts on the first of the month? The first of the month that is first, and goes from there. What does it look like?
Yeah, so planning month starts out with we like to do kickoff parties. So you're going to start with like a kickoff of your coaches being extra fun and exciting. We're going to let you know just how everything works. Planning month is all about, depending on your writing style, how much you are preparing. For my planners, we have Coach Kat. She's based out of Australia, but she is a powerhouse when it comes to planning. She has milestones of how you are building these outlines and how you're getting it ready, because we are all in on the outlines. For myself, I'm going to be asking you giving you weekly tasks that you can do. Again, I'm not going to force you. You can do to kind of think about the big picture of your book, to kind of develop those things that you might need, like themes and tropes. I talk a lot about tropes because I specialize in trope-centric marketing. We're going to talk a little bit about preparing ourselves to not just write the book, but thinking about how we're going to sell it later. For Team Pantser, we're going to be building out some of those ideas and some of those bringing in all of the discovery ideas that we currently have and putting them in one place. Team Pantser actually starts writing earlier than November because their writing style gives them more time to get that. So we do that in October. You get access, if you're in the US or Canada, you have text access to your coach whenever you want. You have you get daily emails that are called our writer's fuel, that are going to give you things to think about, sometimes forum tasks, sometimes things that you should do, just to kind of put your writing, your prep hat on. When it comes to November, we have different milestones that you can choose depending on what you're trying to write. You can choose to follow. I have a plan, for example, of writing a 70,000 word novel. These are things that you should be doing on a day-to-day basis as far as following a beat sheet, like a 3-act structure. Kat has something similar. And then Coach Catherine, who's coach of Team Pantser, is going to have different guidelines. Again, they're completely optional. So you're going to spend your time writing, creating, going to these coaching calls. We have lots of built-in writing sprints. We have lots of community time. And then we move into the third month, which is editing. And we talk a lot at AutoCrit. Obviously, we are a platform where you can edit your book from a, dev edit to line edit to copy edit level. But we talk about how do you, as an author, what practices do you put into place as a editor for your own self-editing? Because I think that's so important, and it's not talked about a lot in a lot of challenges. What do you do with the book once you got your 60,000 words? What do you do with it? How do you even go about editing your work yourself if you're like, I don't know, I just typed the end. Is this it? Is this all? Like, it is not. So we go through all of that. And at the end, you should have an edited, completed draft of your book. You might still need to do, line and beta and copy edits or things of that nature, but you should be in a really good position to start building your marketing plan in the 4th month, which isn't the official part. It's like an unofficial month of the challenge where we talk a lot about marketing. We talk a lot about self-publishing. If you're going wide, we talk about draft to digital. Even so, maybe this year you can come talk about draft to digital, Lexi.
Oh,
I'm going to put you on the spot.
oh gosh, I do feel put on the spot, but I
Yeah.
do love talking about draft to digital. So
So
we'll
we'll see.
talk
Let's
we'll talk a
let's
little bit
talk
later.
offline. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, now that I've been sufficiently put on the spot, since you're one of the coaches,
Hmm.
what kind of feedback or coaching do writers typically get when they're working within your program? Like they have access to people who know this industry. I think from a very high level and low to high level. Like we all started as
Sure.
small authors and then get to where we are. But you have a wide grasp of what the publishing industry looks like. So what kind of feedback are you giving to authors typically, or
Yeah. So
are they looking for?
yeah, a lot of the time, we are group coaching. We do have the opportunity. So if someone wanted one-on-one coaching, that goes into like a service side of things on AutoCrit. But for our group coaching in Novel 90, what we try to do is we give you feedback during the sessions on like ideas and how do I do this? How do I make the inciting incident more exciting? For example, is one of the things that we've done. If someone texts me, kind of one-off questions like, um, do you think this character archetype is correct for my villain, character or something like that. If they sent, we're not giving individual manuscript feedback.
Yeah.
If you send me the first chapter, I'm unfortunately with so many of our folks, I'm unable to give personalized feedback as part of this. It is a free challenge, but I'm able to at least help answer those specific questions like what comes like should I do a 4-act structure or a 3-act structure? I'm like, okay, what genre are you writing? What is your goal? How do I decide how many words I want to write per day? Like, well, then let's talk about what are your responsibilities? What are the things competing with your writing time? I don't want you to burn yourself out. I want you to write the next book. So a lot of things times, I like to say we all have 24 hours in the same day, but we don't have the same 24 hours. So if you're caregiving and you've got a bunch, multiple children, I have young children, or if you are caring for a parent or you have a really intense corporate job or something going on, maybe writing 4 hours a day is not sustainable for you. That doesn't work. But writing 3 Pomodoros a day and after breakfast, after lunch, and after dinner, that feels really good. And I help workshop those things with my attendees to make sure that they have something that feels comfortable and that they understand how to make this sustainable. Because again, I don't just want you to write in the month of November. I want you to write all the time.
Yeah, that's good. This is in a lot of ways, this is a good way to build good practices and
Mm-hmm.
build the tools that are going to help you kind of sustain. Back going way back to your bio, you mentioned that you've helped you kind of give talks on writing with ADHD and
Yeah.
how that works. And as someone who also has ADHD, I think I relate a lot to the idea that you might not always be able to get 4 hours of writing, but can you get those 3
Mm-hmm.
pomodoros? Which can you clarify to the audience what a pomodoro is? Just
Yeah, so a
yeah,
Pomodoro, absolutely. I live by Pomodoros. So I will just say my perspective as a neurodivergent writer is that I don't like rigidity when it comes to you have to write, like 1,700 words a day at the same time every day, or else that doesn't work for my brain. My brain needs flexibility. The nice thing about Pomodoros is it's a productivity technique that kind of channels your hyper focus or your hyper fixations. You set a number. I like the number 23. I don't know why. I like 23. I do 23 minutes. I do 4 minutes off. For those 23 minutes, I am locked and on my manuscript doing all I'm doing is writing. I write via dictation. So I have a walking pad in my office. So I'm going to be on my walking pad. I've got my headphones on. I'm writing via dictation for 23 solid minutes. I'm not editing. I'm not brainstorming. I'm not doom scrolling. I have no other tabs open. I am writing. Then that 4 minute break hits. I hear the music. I stop doing what I'm doing. I take 4 minutes. I do whatever I need to do. Usually hydrate or eat something. Then if I decide I'm going to do another Pomodoro, I do it again, and I measure my writing not by word count, but by how many Pomodoro time slots I can do. And that has changed kind of the mindset of how I write, and it's been incredibly successful.
I love that. Like I that has been a thing that I've been approaching as well. Just it's a much more digestible challenge to handle if it's a smaller like it's more attainable than trying to do something unrealistic, which is like I'm gonna set aside 4 hours where no one's gonna bother me, where I'm
Hmm.
never gonna look away at the internet. Like that's not as sustainable.
No.
Also, it feels like I related to your I like 23 as a number. Like there's something about non-round numbers that feels
Yeah.
very correct. But I don't want to get too off topic with what feels like a neurodivergent tangent. So we talked a little bit about the community, the like that component. You've already mentioned there are group sessions. Is there also kind of a way to connect with your peers, like the people who are taking part in this challenge with you,
Yeah.
like something outside of just like working with the group and working with the coaches?
So yeah, in Basecamp, we have the opportunity to interact with your fellow attendees. We have different threads that you can post on if you feel comfortable. You don't have to. Some people prefer to follow the program and not interact. Other people do. We have the sprint groups where you can join in and sprint with. We have regulars who sprint on all of them. We have some people that just come in. We try to offer them at different times because time zones, man, time zones are a thing, and we
Time
try to make sure
zones.
that we have our European friends have one that they can go to, our Australian friends have some, and then our North American friends, and everyone else as well. We try to structure that so that there's options for you. Yeah, you have opportunities to interact. We have a Facebook group for AutoCrit where we have a lot of Novel 90 folks are chatting in there. It's just, yeah, it's a community that has a lot of options. We're also on social media, so you can come hang out with us on like Instagram and Threads, and what else are we on? TikTok.
Yeah, it's very very important to be where the people are for sure. Um, Sorry, lost my spot for a second.
It's all good.
Um, but I wanted to get into a couple of questions real quick. For one, you've mentioned this earlier, but Tom did ask, are there costs associated with Novel 90? So you
Zero.
mentioned free. So get just sign up. What like let's talk about a little bit about the sign up process. Just like if they're hearing you talk about Novel 90 and they're thinking this sounds like something that could be up my alley. Like how do they get involved?
Yeah. Well, we have a website. You can go to www.novel, Novel, 90.com. So the 9 and the 0 are the numerals. And you can sign up for the current challenge, or you can sign up for a future challenge. If you're like, Becca, I want to write, but I want to have that planning month as well, and I'm just now hearing about it, then go ahead and sign up for February. We would love to have you. If you would like to join us for writing now, we would love to have you. It's definitely not too late to join in. You would still have access to all the replays of everything we did during planning month, so you can catch up if you want to. You don't have to, but you also have lifetime access to Basecamp. So those conversation threads, we do a new Basecamp for each cycle. So if you've been with us since the beginning, you'll have 3 base camps in your academy, and you'll be able to have access to those resources, the replays, the really valuable community created content where people are having really important discussions about maybe it's their why. I just read through last night the thread that we have, the reason why we write, and frankly it is so inspirational because people are coming to writing a book from so many different beautiful spots, and I'm just, oh my gosh, I feel like the nurturer. I'm so proud of all of our folks for taking this on and living the dream.
Yeah, no, and I think that just kind of giving the tools to authors to like connect together. I think authors, like you said before, this can be a very lonely career if you let it
Yeah.
be. Because like a lot of people in your life, they're not going to kind of understand like what the process of being an author is, or like getting
Hmm.
really excited or like even upset or frustrated about your writing process or your characters. And I think like just even facilitating a platform where authors can connect together, naturally they want to. Like, we
Yeah.
want to find community. Like, we want this to be more than just our individual careers that we're working on.
It's true. Yeah, there's a lot of also sharing in our community. I've watched huge, amazing connections happen where people are like, "Oh my gosh, I write in your genre. Do you want to come on my YouTube channel and talk about your book?" Or, "Hey, you know what? I have this little. We both write in this really specific niche that no one knows about. Do you want to do newsletter swaps? Like maybe we could start our newsletters and we could get some more people. I see people that are experienced. Like we have authors that are well into the six figures, probably could be seven figure authors that come in occasionally and they're like, hey, here's some pro advice. There's some really fantastic ways to just kind of mingle with your fellow writer community. And maybe you don't intend to publish. I want to make sure I call that out because publishing is not the goal for everyone, and that's okay. For some people, I have someone working on a memoir right now. Their goal is simply to document to their lived experience as a legacy for their family. And no one else, if they're not going to put it up for sale, they're going to publish it so that they can give copies out to their grandkids. That is their goal. And that is amazing. And I love that. Other people are like, I need this story out of my brain. And I don't care what happens to it afterwards. It just needs to go. It needs to be written. And I want to validate that as well. Not all of us. I obviously write for commercial gain, but not all of us do. And that is 100% valid. I have folks too that are like, I'm not a novelist. I write nonfiction. Great, you're welcome. Please come write your nonfiction with us. Or I write anthology short stories. Amazing. I would love to see what you come up with.
Yeah, I think that it's very easy to look at and think like, oh, I'm not like a writer, I'm not an author. And it's like, no, if you're putting words down, regardless of like what your intent is, regardless of like where your path is, you are still part of you. There's still a place for you in this community.
Yep, you're part of us.
Perfect. So as as a coach, what like for people that are kind of like struggling, what are some common hurdles that you tend to witness authors that are kind of going through this for the first time? Like what are roadblocks that are very common that you think you help
Um,
work through?
my routine got messed up and now I can't start again. Is a common one. I was doing great, but then I got sick and now I don't know how to restart. That has been a common one. The murky middle, definitely. People tend to stall out in Act 2. Like you're doing great, you've got momentum, and then Act 2 happens, and you're like, I don't know I don't know. It's never gonna get done. So then you give up. And I've also seen the imposter syndrome, which I would like to say I make a full-time living with my books. I have 90 out. I've been doing this for 15 years. Imposter syndrome still there periodically. You just learn to tune it to a different way. I argue with my imposter syndrome, and I do teach that in one of my coaching classes. I'm like, absolutely, you're wrong. You have to get a little sassy with it every now and then. But you have all of these kind of elements are the ones I see the most, especially I fell off the writing train for like 4 days and now I can't get started. Um, the only way out is through, is what I like to say. There's no one, this isn't for a grade. I'm not judging you. No one is judging you. What happens is you just got to pick up the pieces and continue going. And we talk about ways that you can do that. Sometimes you can't write. Sometimes you just physically can't make yourself write. So instead, I want you to work on something else related to your book. Maybe you can research your setting. Maybe you can get some really cool sensory details that you want to put in with your world building. And that is something that you have the capacity to do that day, in which case you just worked on your book. So well done. Coach Becca approves.
That Coach Becca approval is something that we all should strive to gain. I think that's an interesting lesson and I think that it's cool that you allow kind of the teams to like experience each other's resources and have access to like because maybe there's something to learn from like the plotters or the panthers. Like maybe you are a plotter and you ran into that like you said, I don't have the time, right? I just don't have the energy or motivation right now. And I feel like going into just this work on something worlds buildy or work on kind of flesh out one of your characters, just do some introspection. That feels a little bit like a venture into Planter territory where it's like, okay, I'm not necessarily writing, but like I'm discovering in this process something new that is going to help me get back on track. I think that's good. I literally the next question I was looking to ask was what is advice you would give to someone who's fallen behind where they should be. But like I think that that's kind of the answer. Honestly, is just keep your book in mind, find ways to
Yeah.
like reinvigorate that spark.
I will say too, as someone who does coach from a position of like chronic illness, that is something a lot of people say. You need to plan for your low energy days. One of the things that someone's told me, they're like, I started novel 90 and my goal on a high energy day, but then all of a sudden I have 2 weeks of low energy days and I can't feel like I can continue. So what I try to remember, try to tell people is you want to be as sustainable as you can be. So you need to plan for your low energy days and your energy fluctuations and be really excited when it's a high energy day, but plan for the low energy days and build your plan accordingly, because you will be more successful from a sustainability standpoint if you just operate on that lower level and then get really excited as it gets higher.
Yeah, I think that that's been like, especially for some challenges in the past that maybe we're very focused on just explicitly word count as like success. I think it
Mm-hmm.
could like for a lot of people it could be very easy to like just aim for the number that they were giving you, but then you get those low energy days, whether it's a lack of focus, whether it's you're dealing with that chronic illness. Like it can be easy once you get two of those days in a row to go look at that gap between where I'm supposed to be and where I am.
Mm-hmm.
What is the point anymore? And I think that that's a good mindset focus, and maybe even a good reason why the novel 90 challenge isn't a word count challenge.
Right.
So like
It's a
again,
finish your book challenge.
it's finish your book challenge. And
Yes.
and with a challenge like this, what do you think is like a like a focus shift, like a mindset shift that authors need to have to like get used to to like find success in this like write your novel over 9 days challenge? Like what's a mindset that they have that an author should be putting themselves in to get the most out of novel 90?
Oh, that's a great question. I think that we need to start off with recognizing our own capability. I think we need to start in with recognizing that our stories matter, that we need to tell the story. I have some people that are like, "Oh, I want to write this, but it's a stupid idea and maybe I shouldn't." Your story, you are a writer, your story matters. You're the only person who can tell that particular story, and the world doesn't have it. It doesn't have your take on it. So why are we allowing these outside voices to tell us as a creator, as an artist, that our art isn't valid? Your art is valid. So I think going into it with the understanding and the belief in your own work, or at least a fake it till you make it belief in your own work. I'm looking at a few of my friends. This is something that I think is really important. And then separating out success from word count. Your book, your whole story may not be able to be told in just 50,000 words. It might need 80,000 words. It might need 40,000 words. You won't know until you write it. I mean, I always say my romance novels will be between 70 and 90,000 words. That's a range. It's not I'm not going to say this book is going to be 72,136 words and not a word more because that is absurd.
Yeah.
We have to allow our creativity to have some room to work, and that's what I love about the 90 days. A lot of people say, "Oh, it takes 2 years to write a novel." No, it doesn't. Actually, you can do it in 90 days. We have people that write slowly. We have people that write quickly. You can complete your work in 90 days, and getting to that dopamine rush of having the end, realizing that you did it, is the kind of momentum that you can ride all the way into the next book.
It's all about chasing that high, that publishing
I
high.
mean, no
Um,
comment.
Yeah. Well, Beth, one of our kind of frequent regulars in the chat, just kind of asked, like, you wrote 90 books with a
Yep.
chronic illness. How do you find the spoons? And like, that's truly impressive. Like, and
Oh,
I do
thank you.
want to give you that credit.
I think it's important to say, that there are 90 titles. Those are including my ghostwritten work. I've been a ghostwriter for 15 years as well. They're all of varying lengths. Some of them there's some thick books in there, but there's also some novellas in there. And what I do is I try do not always succeed, but I try to keep things like my micro rituals the focus of my day. So I have a micro ritual of every morning, unless it's my birthday or like Christmas Day, I reread whatever I wrote the day before. I don't edit it, I don't change it, I just reread it so that I start my day with my chai and like the 10.5 minutes of silence that I'm allotted by my children, and I reread my stuff. So I am constantly thinking about my work. When it comes to days where like I have migraines, so when it's days that I can't have screen time, that's where dictation works really well for me because I don't have to have any, I can be in total darkness and still write in a way that it feels accessible to me. Um, and so I'll have my headphones on and my ice cap on sometimes if I can still speak in a way that doesn't hurt me, then I am dictating to my tablet. We have smart dictation at AutoCrit, so I will have my tablet open and facing away so the glare doesn't go, and I'll be dictating directly into my document. It auto punctuates, so I can just be muttering like the ice cap goblin in the dark, and I'm still writing in a way that is adaptable to what I have. So that is, and on days that I just can't, I give myself the grace to know that I can't do it and that I will try again the next day when I'm feeling a little bit better. So that's kind of my process. I wish I had like a really beautiful, like, this is my step-by-step thing. No, I try to honor the fact that there are days you can and there are days you can't. And you just try to work around and keep going.
It's
I hope
fantastic. Also,
I hope
no,
that
no,
answers it okay.
I think that was wonderful. You mentioned AutoCrit having a smart dictation function,
Mhm.
which I, as someone who's constantly chasing like ways to get better dictation,
Yes.
that certainly sounds appealing. What could you give our authors just the website for AutoCrit? We obviously this has
Yeah,
been mostly a conversation about Novel 90, but you
sure.
also are part of AutoCrit, and like there are tools there that I think authors should also be looking into at the very least.
Yeah, so our smart dictation is part of our writer's desk inside of AutoCrit. To check out AutoCrit, you would go to www.autocrit.com. So autocrit.com, and that is part of our AutoCrit Pro is the smart dictation. And again, you can dictate right into it. We're browser based, so you can dictate, open it up on your phone, um, connect it to your Bluetooth headphones, and I have used dictation like on the go. I have used dictation in my office. I've used dictation at my kids' marching band competition with get headphones if you're going to do that. But yeah, I would say I've tried almost all of the different apps on the market because I've been using dictation for a long time, and I love the accuracy, and I love not having to say comma, new sentence, or period, end quote.
Totally fair. So we have a couple more questions. We're
Yeah.
approaching the end, but like
Okay.
we might go a couple minutes over if you have time. I know that
Oh,
you're
yeah,
at
I'm
the top.
fine. Yeah.
All right, perfect. Um, Alyssa asks, what does a goal look like that isn't word count? Like we've talked a lot about how word count shouldn't have to be your be all end all for like what measures success. What do you think are good goals that authors can set for themselves with their book that isn't just here's what my word count should be?
Yeah, I think for me, it's going to depend on what your overall goal is. Is your goal publication? Is your goal just finishing your book? So I think that is going to be where you start setting out those different word count goals or non-word count goals. Sorry. For a lot of my folks on Team Planter, they do it by acts. So they're like, my goal for this section of time is going to be to get through Act 1. I have no idea how many words or how many chapters that is, but Act 1 is going to be done. I'm like, great. Then we're going to go to Act 2 and Act 3, or if you're in 5-act structures, adjust accordingly to your book. There's also the goal of completion as a big goal, and then so they'll go through chapter by chapter goals. Again, depending on your genre, a chapter could be, I don't know, 1,500 words, or it could be 2,500 words. It could be, I try to recommend you don't go more than 3,000 personally, but that's, make your own creative choices. And it is something that we that we recommend that you figure out what motivates you. I'm happy to give you different ways that you can set goals. I'm happy to work on goal setting. It's one of my favorite things. I come from it from a strategic business perspective, so I'm going to ask you a lot of questions to figure out how can we make you successful, because I really believe no matter if you're a brand new debut author who's never written anything before, or you're a mid-lister who's feeling a little bit burnt out and you're feeling like my books aren't moving the way I want them to. I think I want to try a different genre, but change is scary and I don't know how to plan for that. We have different goals for those different people because your end goal is going to be different. So that feels like a really roundabout way of saying your goal is very individual, but we're happy to help you workshop that.
No, and I think that's good. And I think that it is always worth remembering that, like you said, we all have 24 hours. We don't have the same 24 hours. And not every author is Brandon Sanderson, and not every author is not every author can come out of quarantine with 5 new books. Like, it's just
And at the same time, there are some of my folks that got on an interconnect. They decided to build a world, and the world is speaking to them in a way that they're popping out a book every 6 weeks. And I love that for them because they are so locked in. And they were like, I never knew that I could do this. I'm like, you just had to find the thing that speaks to your brain, and you found it. So ride that wave.
Yeah, and I think that the openness of allowing authors to find the way that they can best succeed gets them to that point, because it's important to not judge yourself against an arbitrary word count. It's important to not judge yourself against peers who might be hitting their stride. Like that, an author who's got that figured out might be at a different point in their story writing than you, but that doesn't mean that you're not finding success as well.
Correct.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Becca, for joining us. We've learning so much about Novel 90 and just about kind of the community that you're building over at AutoCrit. I think this has been incredibly valuable, and I had a joy just kind of getting to talk to you about this.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much, Lexi, for having me on. And if anyone wants, more information, I believe the links are probably in the caption or in the chat. I would love to see you join Novel 90 or become part of our AutoCrit community. I try to be as accessible as I can with my own writing schedule and my coaching time. So I'm there to answer questions. Come say hi to me.
Yep. And for anyone who hasn't seen it since we posted earlier, if you're interested in getting involved in the Novel 90 Writing Challenge, you can get to that at www.novel90, the numerals 9 and 0.com. Becca, thank you so much for setting aside time from your busy writing schedule, your busy coaching schedule, author nation, to give us time to just have this wonderful chat.
It was great.
Perfect. For anyone who's in the chat, for anyone who's watching, be sure to visit DHD Live to see who our next guest will be. Be sure that if you're on YouTube, if you're on Facebook, or wherever you're listening, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and feel free to share with your author friends who you think might be able to get something out of today's episode, or self-publishing insiders in general. And if you're just starting your publishing journey, be sure to visit draftdigital.com, start an account today. It's a free account. Feel free to feel around the site and just get yourself toward publishing. Get yourself ready to be a published author. Becca, thank you so much. If you could hang out backstage with me for a little bit. For everyone else, we'll see you next week. Happy writing, and thank you for joining us.
Ebooks are great, but there's just something about having your words in print. Something you can hold in your hands, put on a shelf, sign for a reader. That's why we created D2D Print, a print-on-demand service that was built for you. We have free, beautiful templates to give your book a pro look, and we can even convert your ebook cover into a full wraparound cover for print. So many options for you and your books. And you can get started right now at draftdigital.com.